Good evening, folks. Happy Sunday. It is Charlotte K coming live to you guys with another Forever Friends episode. How are you doing? This is the place where we talk about all relationship topics, and most importantly, we help people develop relationships that last a lifetime. So let me introduce myself just in case there are some newcomers to the show, which I would absolutely love. My name is Charlotte Cornegay. I am an author, recording artist, creator of Interact Coaching and Forever Friends Academy, which is my subscription based membership group coaching site. And this is my show titled the same name, Forever Friends Academy. And again, we talk about all relationship topics. I mainly focus on building relationships that last a lifetime. And the way or the methodology that I like using to do that is to present fundamental principles that you can apply to all of your relationship dynamics. So your intimate relationships, of course, marriages, long-term relationships, but also your friendships, also your familiar relationships, because the principles of God, right, are everlasting, and they echo throughout time and through the different changes of seasons and generations, etc. So hopefully you'll hear something that you like. If you do hear something that you like tonight, definitely go over to my Forever Friends Academy YouTube page, subscribe, like, comment, and spread, the content so people can hear, things that they can apply to their relationships to build strong foundation, so they can weather through the storms, and unpredictable changes that life can bring us. So that is what you can expect from listening to the show or joining the show. And if you want to check out my music on stage, I go by Charla K. That's SHARLA space and a K. You can definitely Google me or go to your music platform of your choice and peruse my music catalog, which you can get from me as an artist. Just love and inspiration, honestly. I'm definitely, I think, I just lately had the thought that if there was a targeted audience, I guess there is, I feel like a void in music right now, where artists are directly talking to married people. I feel like we have all these songs that talk about, hot girl summer and different things like that, but I think there's room and space there. So I guess a lot of my songs, because they are talking about love and love that lasts a lifetime, I guess that would be a targeted audience of mine. But I have plenty of inspirational songs too, for anybody who is like setting a goal and, etc. So check it out. Definitely. Hopefully you'll find a song that could be your anthem for the year or years to come. So enough about me. Let's dive into tonight's episode. Now, it's I don't know. You guys can be the judge whether you feel like it is ongoing from the last conversation that we had on my last live. On the last live, we talked about, what does it mean to be a forever friend, hence the name, right? And I wanted to describe exactly where it came from, what it actually means, and some of the things that I highlighted on the last episode was, it came from my husband and I, what I like to call starting our forever friendship in high school, senior year. And forever friends, basically, initially, we did not want to. It really was Ben who introduced it to me because I was not at all in this mind frame or thinking about relationships in this mindset, but he definitely was. So when he introduced this concept to me, he kind of used the term Christian companion because we were both definitely seeking God and wanting to learn how to be Christ-like. And so what he said was that he just did not want to go down the same failure paths that he saw so many people, who put titles on their relationships like girlfriend and boyfriend and use the title to kind of set or expect the title to almost dictate how they're supposed to, or govern the relationship and dictate how they're supposed to navigate the relationship with each other. And he saw so many people fail at it because the true, right, determining factor of how people are going to harmonize together, how people are going to grow together, is the character of the two people in the relationship. And so he basically told me I don't want to do the same thing that I see people are failing at, and it evolved as I decided to open up our home and create an authentic and a safe space for people to talk about relationships. And I titled it Forever Friends. And I was saying on the last podcast that Forever Friends is basically honoring the space, all the choices, all the decisions, all the things that had to occur for the person who has entered your life to cross your path, right? That had nothing to do with you, in that you didn't make any of the choices, right? However, clearly God had you in mind, so it had everything to do with you, especially if you guys have grown to a state of marriage, right, where it's a vow and a commitment for a lifetime that you made with each other. And so Forever Friends is honoring all the stages and decisions that had to occur in your partner's life to bring you into your life, as well as honoring, right, the moment that you're in with them right now, right, as well as the future, how your relationship echoes on in time, right, the nature, the character of your relationship, how it afforded you guys to serve, how it afforded you guys to impact the people that enter your life, right? So that's one of like the meat parts of what Forever Friends means. It's not like mainstream you thinking friend and relate, especially in intimate relationships. It's not you being friend zone. It's not you being in a lackluster marriage that doesn't have passion or in depth of intimacy and things like that. No, it actually, in honoring all of those stages, it allows both partners to kind of free flow into trust, which only leaves room for more in depth intimacy and passion and things like that. So that was what we were talking about on our last podcast. So I kind of wanted to connect what we were going to talk about tonight. And so I'm going to put the quote out for you guys because, those who are, come to me often know I always usually start off with a quote and a question. So tonight's quote is from one of my favorite therapists. Her name is Esther Perel. I tell you, if you decide to check her out, you will not be disappointed. She mainly focuses on relationships that have gone through either infidelity or divorce and things like that. She's incredible. It would not be any time wasted or effort lost in being able to look her up. So the quote that is coming from her tonight says that the quality of your relationships ultimately, I'm sorry, no, let me say that again. I don't want to mess it up. I'm good for messing things up, y'all. I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I want to give it to you guys how it actually is. All right. So the quote goes like this from Esther Perel. Let me look at it for you guys really quick. And hello, Ali Socks. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. Okay, the quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. I'll say it again. The quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. Okay, so those of you who know, and those of you who are new, I'm always going to ask you, do you think that's a truthful quote? And do you think that is a quote that is beneficial to helping us develop relationships that last a lifetime? So I'll say it again. Tonight's quote is coming from Esther Perel. She is a therapist. And the quote goes like this: the quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. And the question that I want to pose to you guys tonight is, when it comes to relationship skills and relationship development, what are the activities that you've either participated in that you feel like has afforded you to learn relationship skills? So I'll put it that way. What are the activities that you have partaked in, participated in, done, or experienced that you feel help teach you relationship skills? Now, if it's not something that you feel like you have done, maybe you can tell me, what do you think are the activities that will help teach people skills that'll improve the quality of their relationship. So that's what we're talking about tonight. And I'm going to take a moment to put my QRC code up for anyone who might not want to type but are comfortable with being on camera, and you can join me. Like I'm so excited that that I can have callers now. So like the day when I have my first call, I'm gonna be like, yay! So we'll see. We'll put it out tonight. Maybe someone would like to come on and talk to me. Screen to screen. I was gonna say face to face, but no, screen to screen. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so corny. Fun fact about Charlotte K. I'm like sometimes I'm funny, but other times I'm corny. So I'm gonna put up the QRC code just in case someone wants to join me. Okay, real quick. All right, so you can scan that code to join me at any moment if you don't feel like typing in regards to any of the question that I put out or the quote. All right, so tonight I want to introduce 5 of the activities that I have either experientially, right, done and participated in that definitely helped me learn some essential core relationship skills that definitely benefit, of course, my marriage between Ben and I, but just all around learning how to work together with, different individuals and different people in different relationship dynamics. And one of the reasons why I thought about bringing this topic up to you guys tonight is because over the weekend, my son had his first track and field like meet. I've been trying to he's very techie. He's a techie kind of guy right now. Of course, he loves video games and things like that. And he's really good with science and anything really like STEAM, I think related. But I've been trying to see, put little seeds, little things out there. And I presented the question to him, like, if you were to get into sports, which one would you want to do? Basketball, football, etc. And so I was getting nowhere until I mentioned track. And he was like, okay, track. I'll do track. And it just so happened that when I introduced that to him and had that conversation with him, that the school I substitute in the school district that I live in from time to time. And then one of the coaches was saying, well, you know what, there's a clinic coming up. And so it was like perfect timing. So nonetheless, they had like 3 different, week after week, they had different training sessions where they could kind of like go and do sprint one day and hurdles another and shot put the next day and javelin. They were able to kind of dibble dabble into all of the different, areas of track. And then they had like this cute, meet at the end where they would compete against each other. And of course, during the meet, you're amongst the other parents, and it is the cutest thing ever because it was elementary. So they had like K through 12, and then, third and fourth graders and fifth. I think it went all the way up only to 6th grade. So, oh my goodness, cuteness and just adorable on everything. It's like cuteness on overload. So, nonetheless, you're there and you're cheering on, of course, your own children or child. And you also find yourself, cheering on the other children that are there because, they're giving their all and they're trying to make it to the finish line and trying to give their all. And I was just saying to Ben that, I participated in sports a lot. Like, really, I played sports all year round, really. The only time that I didn't was when I was in band. I joined the dance line in band, and I was supposed to do track during that time, but it kind of like the time conflicted, so I had to choose one over the other. But outside of that, I played everything: softball, volleyball, basketball, yeah, and then did dance for the other. And I told him, man, looking at this, as we were watching our son doing his track clinic, I was like, man, I didn't even realize that me, because I really did it. My grandmother, she's a Jamaican grandmother. She like, listen, I'm feeding you. You okay? You got a place to sleep. She wasn't thinking about extracurricular activities, which I totally understand because she was taking us in, at she was in her 50s when she took us in. So I took it upon myself to put myself in sports. But I just did it honestly at that moment in that time. I just wanted to get out of my house for certain reasons. But I was telling Ben when we were watching our son, I was like, oh my gosh, when I put myself into all those activities, I didn't realize how much it was teaching me about relationship skills and how much it would benefit my ability to function, navigate relationships, teach relationships. I didn't. It honestly just dawned on me as we were watching him, and so I was like, you know what? Let me bring up a topic to my Forever Friends Academy listeners on what are the activities they believe that they've either participated in or activities that you think that you can participate in that will teach you core relationship skills, right? Because we all know, well, maybe we don't all know, but we talk about it often here that you don't want to play Russian roulette with your life, and it's hard sometimes to gauge, like, okay, I know that I want to learn about relationships. What do I need to know? How can I learn it before I step into, being in a relationship or the position of a husband or a position of a wife? And I wanted to think about interesting or fun things that someone can do outside of just necessarily, just talking to someone and someone telling you about it. Something of like where it could get into your body and your being, not just necessarily hear it. So that's why I wanted to present it. That's the I guess the spark or what triggered tonight's conversation. Hey Maya Bobaya, how are you? Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you and Nikhil. Like I came on the live. I couldn't stay. I think after he got off, I couldn't stay because I was cooking and preparing for my live. So, but I'm so happy. That made my day. Thank you for sending the live to me so I can join. I have a client now, family to me, and he's starting a woodwork business. And you know what, Maya, if you can put the link to Nikhil's business. He does wonderful woodwork, and he also surprised me and made a Forever Friends Academy metal business card. Pretty cool, right? So definitely, if you're on still, put his link or where the name of where they can find the business on Instagram, and I'll definitely put it up here because I always want to support businesses. And yeah, so if you're just coming in, again, tonight's quote is from Esther Perel, and it is the quality of your life is ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. And tonight's question is, what activities have you participated in, or do you think that people can participate in that will teach them core relationship skills that'll improve their relationships? So let me know your thoughts, people. Definitely. While I'm waiting to hear your thoughts, I will roll out my list that I created in, coming up with this topic for you tonight. So numero uno, you probably can, because I hinted at it in the beginning already, is playing sports. Playing sports. You know what, especially for adults, right? Because I hear so many, of us adults say like adulting sucks, or people who are teenage going into kind of adulthood, and they're like, oh my gosh, when you're young, you're like, oh, I can't wait till I get older. The adults get to do everything. Matter of fact, my daughter was just watching something. My youngest daughter was just watching something today where the characters on the TV were saying that, like, oh, the adults get to do everything. Kids don't get to do anything, and, so you hear that often, that you want to grow up and get older, and then you grow up and then you get older. And you're like, wait, I've been bamboozled. This is not this is not all cracked up as I thought it was to be, right? You got to pay bills, you got all these responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera. You know, there is some exchange and some things that are added onto your life for you to have that type of freedom that you're thinking you're going to have. So I think this is so important because I think as adults, we find less and less time to play, and get into sports. But I think it's so important. So if you are someone who is single listening to this is something you can do and something you can participate with in that'll teach you so many different essential relationship skills. Definitely teamwork, right? I think recently, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were talking about comparison doesn't kill relationships, competition does, right? And I was talking in the video that comparison is good in a relationship, especially it just depends on what lens, right? And what you're comparing. So when you're working on a team, whether it's a basketball team, volleyball, softball, etc., you compare because you want to learn your position and you want to learn the other people's position on the court or the field, etc., so that you can play your position well, best, And then for those of you who have, maybe like me, who have played a lot of sports, you know that there are some times where one teammate something might happen to them, they might be sick or et cetera, et cetera. So if you have learned and are able to know what they do in their position, then right, the coach can kind of like move the players as necessary to fill in whatever void that's there. Right, that's in sports, but that is definitely within relationships. I think I just saw a clip from Michelle Obama from her podcast, and she was talking to, I think she's an executive, like a producer. I think her name is Elaine. I cannot remember her last name of the guest right now, but she was explaining to the guest that it's so important for each partner to kind of know, right, what each other, the functionality, what they do in the relationship, because God forbid if something happens, one partner gets hurt, the other partner knows nothing about like the domestic. If one partner is in charge of the domestic economy of the household, if that partner gets hurt, then what happens, right? It all falls. It's chaos because that person didn't know, or if someone, husband or wife is in charge of the financial aspects of the relationship. If there's no knowing of what to do or what's going on, then, it's going to cause some issues. So in that same way, it's really good. And one of the things I really love about participating in sports that help me in relationships is just, and especially in seeing the kids' faces from watching my son's track meet. Oh my goodness, some of them were so young and they were doing like a 200-meter run, and so for a child who's never done any kind of sports before, that could be a very long run, and some of them were, like I said, like such cute babies, kindergarten to second grade. And I mean, when I tell you the look on their face, like blood, sweat, and tears, and some of them would kind of quit, and just kind of start walking. And then we were on the side, like just cheering them on, like, you can do it, go, 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 you can do it. And then they like, muster up the strength. But it's the endurance it teaches you, right? The resilience. And that has, I think, been one of the greatest lessons and one of the greatest things partaking in sports has afforded me to learn about relationship skills, because there has not been a storm, a challenge of life that has come to me and my husband that we both weren't like locked in and was like, okay, well, the storm is going to pass and we're going to be standing right here, stronger than ever than what we were before. And I can definitely look back and go to me, whether it was the training, the intense training that I had to do for the sports that I was in, or the fact that like when you're playing sports in school, it is no like it's go time, right? It's either go time or maybe you're gonna be sat down on the bench, or you're gonna have to quit because there is no excuses, right? You have to play and play hard and play to your best capacity and best ability, especially if you're playing in a competitive way against another team. You give it all you got, you give it all you got and you keep going. If you make a mistake, you got to bounce back quickly. So it teaches you so much. So if you are a person who's single, even if you're not single, you're a person who's married, joining even a sports team, or maybe it's someone who, if it's not in a competitive way, and you have a group of friends who, I don't know, play sports every Saturday or something, or once or twice a month, anything like that would be good to teach you how to also play in teamwork and in harmony with your spouse, with your partner, with whoever, your future spouse is going to be, if you are single listening to this. So if you're thinking like, okay, I do want to learn about relationships skills and I don't really know exactly where to start, that is a fun and an interesting way to learn about it, that will not only just get it in your mind, but it'll also get you in your body. Like I teach, which will segue into the next thing that I think that you can get into to learn about relationship skills. And let me say hi to Mr. Ajak. How are you, Ajak? How are you doing? Thank you for popping in. As always, I don't know how long you've been here, but we are talking about what are the activities that help to teach us relationship skills. So if they could be an activity that you've participated in, or just an activity that you're thinking about, that you're like, okay, you know what? If someone does this, or, participates in this, it'll teach them this and that and this skill in regards to relationships. So that's what we're talking about. And you came in on me giving my number, my first one, which is sports, playing in sports and participating, and some of the skill sets that it can cultivate in a person that'll help them learn how to navigate relationships, improve the quality of the relationships that they're either already in or the ones that they're going to enter. So, second is, dancing. Dancing is, I think, and I think I don't want to cope them in because there's so many creative arts type of things that I thought of. So I want to separate them because a part of me was just like, gonna cope it all in, but I'm gonna separate it. So dancing is my second one that I want to present to you guys tonight, and it's and dancing more on the end, more in the lines of, even though learning choreography and other types of dance can also help, right? Because it definitely is going to sharpen your listening skills and ability to mirror certain things. So those types of dancing are good too. But the ones specifically that I was thinking about are like the dances that require, right, two people to be dancing together. So that could be anywhere from bachata, it can be anywhere from salsa, it can be swing dancing, which is so fun. That's one of my favorites that I love. So anything like that, ballroom dancing, anything of that nature that is going to help you learn about, right, leadership and following. It helps to learn about mirroring, right? Your partner definitely teaches trust because if you can dance and wholeheartedly have one person be the leader and the other person following along, and you don't find your arm kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's no shade to if you're a person that's like this, because I used to be a person like that. Where you're like, the person's trying to turn you and then your arm is all like stiff because, you're trying to lead while they're trying to lead. It looks, you can tell, right? It looks robotic. It looks like not natural, and the dance serves that you kind of stand in awe in, where the movement is so fluid and they almost look like one movement together. It's because they have, right, worked out those kinks and they've learned how to harmonize with each other. So those are some of the things that works on, right? That you can use it for, so it also, I think, kind of affirms the complementary type of way that relationships work, right? I think that also affirms that when you're learning how to dance in that way. So, like I said, if you are single, this is great. Find, there are plenty of dance studios that teach that. So that's a fun way that you can learn, whether you're going as the man trying to learn and he's learning how to kind of like lead the dance, or a woman that's learning how to trust and follow in that way. And it's just fun, right? It's fun thing to participate in, but it is teaching you fundamental relationship skills in a very fun and entertaining way. So that's that. Hey, Theo, how are you? Thank you for joining. We are talking about what activities do you think help to teach relationship skills? So I've said sports as number one. I don't. I'm saying number one, but it's not in any particular order. As far as like in most important or something, I'm just pointing out the ones that I thought of. So sports, definitely, teaching teamwork, teaching resilience, teaching endurance, things like that. And I just brought up dancing, which allows you to learn leadership and learning how to follow, mirroring each other. Of course, definitely being able to be in harmony, because if you're not, it's going to look completely forced or rigid. So learning how to move together and have fluidity in the dance moves and things like that. So that's number two that I brought up so far. So feel free to let me know what other activities that you're thinking of, if you're thinking of any. And I did put out a quote tonight by Esther Perel, which is one of my favorite therapists. And the quote for tonight is that the quality of your life is ultimately depends on the quality of your relationship. So that was a quote that I put out. So number three, that I will give to you guys, that I definitely know experientially, is just either, if you're a singer, learning how to sing or learning an instrument, anything like that is going to be great for learning relationship skills that will help you improve the quality of relationships. And you will be in a rhythm of discipline, of consistency. It teaches you all of that: discipline, consistency. And especially if I think on both ends, whether you're learning an instrument or whether you are a singer, I think for the singer, it's even more deeper, because there is no instrument between you. You are the instrument. So there's a certain amount of vulnerability that comes with that. There's a certain amount of trusting and using your emotions to convey the message as a singer, and connecting to the audience. So it's very layered, right? So it has a lot of relationship principles and skills that you can develop as you're learning how to do that. But definitely also, right, people who play instruments, they also pour out from their emotions and things like that in their instrument. But one of the main things that I think it has afforded me is discipline, 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 consistency, because it is anyone on here who has dabbled in the arts or who is heavy into it, it's one of those things. I always say it's not a desk job, and no shade to anybody who's doing a desk job, because I've done some in my, in the past. And what I mean by that is that it's not something that you can fake through. You can't, as I say, don't lip sync through life. You cannot lip sync. You can try, but you're probably going to get caught, and the audience will know. So it's something that if you don't put the time and the effort in to cultivate your craft, it will show through and through. You just cannot bypass the necessity of working on it day by day, section by section. And I think that has afforded me in my relationship and my marriage to Ben is one to I think sports and learning, right? Being a singer and learning how to kind of cultivate and work on my voice. And though both those things have taught me how to be more solution oriented, right, than focusing on the problem. Because if you are playing a sport or if you are learning a song or if you're learning an instrument, you might come, not might, you most definitely probably will come to a space where, you're either playing something wrong or you're singing the line wrong. And you really literally have to kind of like work it out. A lot of us, singers or teachers who teach other people who are interested in learning the art will isolate that area and repeat it over and over and over again until you can record yourself consistently enough to know that you're not getting lucky, right? And that you actually are intentionally wanting to sing something a certain way or wanting to play something a certain way, and you can three, at least for me, I'll say to my students or I say to myself 3 to 5 times consistently means that you didn't get lucky and that you know your stuff, right? And then you can move on. And so how that affects how I show up in my relationship is that one, I think about solution based, right, oriented when it comes to conflict resolution or things that are coming in to test or challenge the relationship. You have a mind that you can kind of one, look for the spaces and place where progress is being made, incremental progress is being made, right? So you don't, when you're working out that muscle as a musician to isolate certain areas, to work them out, then it's not like you know that fundamentally Rome wasn't built in a day and that you're not just going to blah, learn this song right out, there. Unless, I mean, some people are musical geniuses, right? But most of the times, right, it takes, like I said, the incremental type of development and taking it piece by piece to learn it and perfect it and perfect your craft. So that's how I've been able to also approach whenever there are challenges or things that goals that we've set or things that we want to develop in the relationship. Then we can hone in on it, and say, okay, let's work on this area first, and highlight the progress, right? Because as people, as long as there's progress, we're happy, no matter how, micro it is. If you feel that you're progressing, then you can, you have something to look towards and be grateful for. So I think that definitely has helped me in that way. Hello. I don't know if I'm saying that right. B. Ogun. Welcome. I think this is your first time to the podcast, so welcome. We are talking about tonight, what are some activities that help to teach relationship skills to improve the quality of our relationships? So I have so far said participating in sports helps you to learn essential relationship skills, learning how to work as a team, learning how to compare in a relationship properly. I think that is so important. Compare to learn the roles and the position and the functionality of the people who are making up the team. That's a very important quality to have, to have healthy, striving relationships. We've talked about dancing, specifically dancing that where it requires two people, maybe to dance intimately together, bachata, salsa, swing dancing, ballroom dancing, anything like that of that nature. Definitely teaches you leadership skills, learning how to follow, learning how to mirror each other, learning how to harmonize with each other, learning how to trust, and definitely learning how to become one, because the most beautiful and eloquent dances are when the people kind of merge and it's like one movement, even though it's two bodies, right? So definitely helpful in learning how to become one in a marriage. getting that type of understanding in your mind as well as understanding in your body. And the last one that I was just talking about is learning how to play an instrument, learning how to cultivate the instrument of your voice. Teaches you discipline, teaches you consistency, teaches you how to not be afraid of looking at an area and isolating it to develop it, right? It teaches you to have faith in yourself, in your ability, that when you're honing in on this area, that you will be able to develop it, right? So all of those things, great essential skills to learn and incorporate into your relationship. And like I said, these are things that you can learn, and it doesn't just get in your mind, but it gets into your body because you are using physical actions and physical movements to now, right, continue to affirm, and remind you of the principle that you're also learning. So that's number 3. Number 4 that I thought about is I don't know if anybody likes to do this anymore. I know everything. So we're in a technological age, and you know, sometimes it's hard to put down the devices. Sometimes it's hard to get, from in front of the TV and things like that. But I guess this one is more for the old sage souls who might still like it. I think I am an old sage soul though. So that's probably would explain why I like it. But I was thinking about puzzling. Let me know if there's anybody out there who likes it to do it. But I love doing puzzles. I do them with my children. So that probably also, right, increases it for me. But outside of it, I think my just curious mind, the way that I'm kind of made, it makes me really like puzzles because, right, you have to pick the right pieces together that actually fit. And I love anything that builds upon seeing things clearly, if that makes any sense, right? So I love puzzles. And I think puzzling is good because it reminds us constantly of one, you have to pick the right pieces that fit together, right? And no matter how hard you jam, two pieces that do not fit together, maybe they're even in the right puzzle, right? But they don't fit together. And so no matter what you do, however you flip it, rub it, shake it down, it's not going to fit. Right. So that's, I think, an important principle to learn, that it's not rejection, just redirection. Right. Especially, again, if they're pieces of a puzzle that belong to the same puzzle, but they are not the pieces that fit together. Right. So in that sense, it's like, okay, I thought this one was right. Let me put it down to navigate some other pieces to see which one actually has a just right fit together. So that's number 1, because I always say it on here, there's no rejection when someone says that you're not a right fit for them. You're not just right for them. It should not make you feel lesser than. It should not make you feel like you're not good enough. It's just the fact that there are billions of people here, and no, you might not be just right for each and every one. I always use the example, like, I love smoothies. My husband loves, kombucha and coffee and things that I have no interest in drinking, for my palate. It's not just right for my palate, right? But that doesn't mean anything, it just means that I have a preference and he has a preference, and that's okay. And so when it comes to either building intimate relationships, or even if it's you building your business and wanting to serve, or ministry, or however you want to show up in the world, and what you think is of your most valuable characteristic, or product or service that you have to offer someone, if they say, well, this is not for me right now, or maybe it's not for me ever, it's fine. It's not rejection. It's not rejection. It's redirection, right? Like, okay, that puzzle piece is not a just right fit, whether it was the wrong timing or just the wrong piece. Let me redirect and find the people who it is just right for, the people who are embracing it, and the people who do want it. It doesn't mean give up. It doesn't mean stop just because you found rejection from one, two, three, or 3,000 people. It doesn't mean that there aren't people out there that are looking for exactly what you have, you know? So it definitely is a nice reminder of that principle. And I think one of the greatest principles that as you're doing, it reminds us of is that two is better than one, you know, or multiple people working in harmony is greater than the individual who is, exceptional all by themselves, right? Because you can have one lonesome piece of a puzzle, and maybe it's even the biggest piece of the puzzle. But guess what? If it's not attached to the other pieces for us to see the full picture clearer, then it's not the sum of the parts. Is not greater than the whole. That's something I was like lodged into my brain during college when I studied communication studies because they wanted we had to do a lot of assignments, right, that assessed all of the five W's and and the how that was there. So we had to look at things or situations and things that occurred from a holistic angle, right? Like who, what, where, when, why, and each part was important to getting the full vision or the full truth of what had actually took place or occurred. And in that same way, right, when we understand that the sum of the parts is not greater than the whole, it makes up the whole, right? But it's not greater than the whole picture. And so when you're doing puzzling, you kind of like are reminded of that because it's like each piece that you find, I know for me, I get happy when I find the pieces that work just right together because each time, it progressively shows me the full, scope of the picture that I am piecing together. And that has afforded me in my relationship because on moments when, I feel like either, moments where you feel like maybe your partner's getting on your nerves, or you're having not the best of day or things like that, or, we can find so many things to complain about them, whether, oh, they didn't put their clothes in the hamper or this and that, the food wasn't cooked, or so many ways, right? It's a reminder that, listen, no matter how much you complain about whatever moment you're in, let's take that partner that you have away. And I guarantee you, if you take that partner out of your daily routine of your life, as much as you probably have thoughts, prayers, etc., of how you want them to show up more, you will be able to acknowledge and recognize how much they're showing up now, right? And how much of what they do allows space for you to get other things done. And that's because when you have two, it's better than one. When you have two people doing certain things, creating a life together, that person is there. They're sustaining certain things. We're going to have a more in-depth conversation about tangible and intangible value. And I think oftentimes there's lack of acknowledgement of the things that are really being sustained because they are intangible, meaning like they're not outwardly just so obvious that these things are being sustained in order for the relationship to run in the way that they're running, right? And so when you do that and you take that person out of the picture and then you're like, whoa, I just met a mom the other day when I was at my son's track meet, and we hit it off. She was from the Caribbean, she's from Guyana, and I'm from Jamaica. And so we were talking and things like that and getting to know each other. And I had stated to her that sometimes I substitute if I can, or flexibility with time, I'll substitute sometimes in the district that we live in. And she was like, "Wow, I do it too." And she was asking me, she was like, "What school do your kids go to?" And I said, "My kids are homeschooled." She was like, "Oh my gosh," I thought she looked at me like, "Oh Lord," because sometimes I get that look when I say that, like, "What? You do what with your children?" But she actually looked at it with with admiration, and she was like, "Man, I wish that I could do that, but it's just me." It's just me. And when she said that, I was just like, wow, thank God, for my husband, because I was explaining to her, like, listen, I come in when I can, and it just happened to work out that my husband has, his business. So if, when I'm going in, he can be with the children, but it just another moment to recognize, like, you take that dynamic out, then I can't do that, And so in that same way, that's what that kind of affords us to get I won't say a greater understanding, but you can, because if you are a person who might not, that principle might not be at the forefront of your mind. And I definitely think it should be if you are someone who is single, who's looking to be in a relationship, and if you are married, to assess and examine that you want to put this principle in your heart, at the center of your heart and mind, because it will allow you to engage with your partner in a different way when you constantly say two is better than one. And if two is better than one and this person is brought into my life, how has the value they have offered, and the value that they bring increased my life in such a way, and examine that and then honor those things, even if we are building towards, you know, wanting to function in the relationship at even greater levels and higher heights. Because when you do that, then, there's honor there, and it's maintained and the principle is true. And then you don't fall into kind of like modes of entitlement, modes of ungratefulness, where you no longer can appreciate or see what your partner is doing to make life easier for you in the relationship, and uphold and upkeep, your family dynamic, if you guys do have, family. So definitely. So what have we talked about so far? Hey, Nikhil, how are you? I was just telling your beautiful wife, I'm so proud that you guys went live today. I think it's great. And I told her, she didn't do it though, but maybe you can do it if you can put your Instagram name or a website or something like that, so I can put it on, because I definitely want to, you know, support. I'm very happy that you guys did that. So again, for anyone new coming in tonight, tonight's quote is from Esther Perel, and it is: the quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. As always, do you think it's a truthful quote? Do you think it is a quote that will help develop a lasting type of love, a forever love? And we are talking about what are some activities that teach essential relationship skills, that not just get it in your mind, but get it in your body. So that's what I've been talking about. And okay, he dropped it. Great, thank you. Let me see how come. Hopefully I can get this without like cutting everything off. Oh no. Let me see. NW Creations. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the broadcast now, folks. Okay, so you guys come support. It's a lovely couple. Okay, I had the honor of seeing them like start out their relationship in college. Now they're married folk. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for them. And her husband has started his own woodworking business. So you guys support. Okay, this is his name on Instagram, the name of the company, NW Creations. He makes, as far as I know, when he was on live, what were you making? You were making an end table, I think it was. I might be wrong. But he also made these cool metal business cards for Forever Friends Academy. So go check him out, okay? I put it on the screen. I'm sorry for those of you on Instagram because you can't see the full screen. Okay. But it is n.w.creations if you're on Instagram. If you're on YouTube and all the other platforms that I'm on, definitely just check it out. I put it on there, and definitely check him out. Support his business. And sorry guys, it was a nightstand he was making. Okay, so absolutely check it out. Support the business. Okay, I appreciate them. Good people to invest in. All right. um, so far the activities we've talked about so far that help to teach you essential relationship skills and improve the quality of relationships is playing sports, especially if you can do it on a competitive type of level. We talked about dancing, specifically all types of dancing, because even if you learn choreography, it'll help. But I focus more in this episode on, like, dances that require you to have two people following, one person leading, the other person following, mirroring, and things like that. So, bachata, ballroom dancing, swing dancing, which I absolutely love. Right? And we talked about learning either how to sing or to play an instrument. And we just stopped at puzzles, creating puzzles. I mean, I have had some of my clients, definitely ones that were having issues with learning how to kind of harmonize with each other, wanting to kind of like relinquish control. I've had them, and suggested as one of their exercises to actually look up a studio and go to a dance studio and look up, a class of a dance style that you are both interested in, and go and take the lessons. And you will be surprised how that is oftentimes more helpful than like them just sitting down and talking to me, or it will, right, build upon and compound upon, the conversations that we're having, because they now not just discuss the principle with me, now they're doing something action wise where it's getting, in their being, in their body. And so I've had a lot of results with that. And so if you're married, I think it's a great thing to do. Yeah, I think it's great for you to do. And puzzling, I've had clients where I've suggested them do sit down and do a puzzle together. It seems simple, but let me tell you, it not only will kind of see if you guys have the patience, and oftentimes I will, because I love the bigger puzzles where they're like 300 pieces and things like that. One time, I was supposed to do it with my youngest daughter and my son, and they're like, and some of the puzzles are like, the pictures are so amazing, they have like the 3D ones, etc. But anyway, I tried to start doing it with my kids, and they were just like, no, we're not having it, at least that day. And, Ben sat down next to me, and we literally for out, I think we took about an hour and a half or 2 hours and just sat and did the puzzle together. And, we finished it, and we felt so accomplished. But if you could do that, right, and have the patience to do that with each other, and not like, go at each other's heads and things like that, and can you help each other out, figure it out. So it is something that you can do that's easily will teach you certain principles in relationships, and it just working together as a team. You will easily be able to understand, like, okay, if I did this by myself, maybe I would have spent about a good 5 hours. But because you sat here and did this with me, okay, we did in about an hour and a half. Okay, great. Great. So that's definitely one. Let me read some of these comments. Maya says they agree with the quote. Woo wee. Okay, that's good. And Nikhil says, Nikhil of NW Creations, let me do that, says he makes custom furniture and digital designs. I love it. I love it. So again, guys, check them out. Okay. Like I said, I can people that I can affirm, definitely check out his business and, you know, why not buy it directly from the person that you know instead of going to the furniture store? Okay. All right. So we've got sports, dancing, learning an instrument or singing, and then puzzling. And the last one, I don't know if, you know, did I say, I just said 5 activities, right? I didn't say fun activities. I feel like because the other ones can be, you know, described as fun. This one might not be described as fun, but I will say that it is something that you can do that will teach you. It will equip you in one of the best ways possible if you are a single person that's looking to be in a relationship, or if you're in a relationship already and in a marriage and wanting to improve the quality of relationship. And it is fasting. Okay. And this can be anything, but I have found, because I'll put it this way, I have found that when you fast from things that are like innate, you know, either urges or things that we naturally need within our body, it creates a different type of discipline in you. So, what I mean by that is if you're fasting like from food, if you are fasting from people fast, they fast from sex, right? Whether they're being celibate from, they are a virgin and continue to be celibate up until they're married, get married, or someone who, was already sexually intimate and then decided to practice celibacy, that's a fast, right? And I think those two are one of the top things that you can fast from that will aid in learning relationship skills. Now you might be like, Charlotte, okay, how is that? What kind of relationship skill is that going to teach me? Right? So I would say discipline, definitely number one, right? Because if you are signing up, as I talk about it oftentimes in this on this relationship podcast, is that suffering, right? We are going to go through some kind of suffering in life. Suffering does not have to be this thing where it's like painstaking for you. And let me say it like this. I don't want to say because the suffering might be painstaking, right? But I mean suffering like like somebody's torturing you or something like that. I just mean that you have to sign up, for, well, you don't have to. Life is going to bring certain situations and circumstances that bring about suffering for us, and that can come up into that might look like signing up for suffering is someone just signing up to do an exercise program that's going to bring their body through moments, of suffering until they build up right to a certain level, and then they'll increase the weight or they'll increase the endurance, and they are going to put their body to the test. If you're doing something like practicing celibacy or something like that and fasting from that, then you're putting your body, not only your body but your mind, to the test and things like that. But it's been really helpful when we were younger, and both Ben and I, spent a lot of our teenage years, definitely early 20s, in the church, right? Growing in the church and really seeking God together. And one of the things that I always say to him and I discuss with other people is that I wish that the churches that we attended, or the people, that we were getting poured, who was teaching us and pouring into us, I really wish they would have expounded upon how, when you practice celibacy, how that enriches your marriage later, and not just say, just okay, flee from it because it's, that's what the Bible says. You don't really, no one tells you, or at least I haven't heard a lot of people say it, how enriching it is for your marriage. Because if you can do that with each other and you absolutely love each other, and it's very hard to go against the natural nature to want to be intimate with this person. How, when you're now in your marriage, right? And if people are coming to try to tempt your marriage, you have now built up a muscle to say no when you didn't want to say no with the very person that you really wanted to be with, So now when somebody else tries to come into the marriage, it becomes a lot, easier to say, well, no, I'm not going to step out on my marriage. I'm not going to step out on my husband. I'm not going to step out on my wife because I have already built up a muscle where the very person that I wanted to be with, and I had no reason not necessarily, you know what I mean? Like, this is not a bad person. This is a person that I want to marry and am inclined to be with for the rest of my life. But I determined in my heart, my mind, that I was going to, exercise patience and exercise long suffering in that way, so that we can build a really sturdy foundation. And I wish that more pastors and more people of the faith would talk about how it enriches the relationship in that way. So I think that's one of the main ways that has afforded me, in being able to navigate my marriage, So definitely, but of course the discipline, because I mean, if you can withhold, in those areas, definitely in areas that aren't so right innate in within us, and hard to kind of like not indulge in, then the other areas, it becomes easier to add the discipline in the other areas. And the great thing about all of these is that when you decide to participate in them, or take them on, right, it becomes like a compound effect, right? So when you exercise discipline and consistency in another area, it can, right, open up space in all so many other areas to do the same thing. So those were the things that I was thinking about, So I guess there are 4 activities. I mean, fasting is an activity too, but maybe 4 fun activities or interesting Well, I think fasting is interesting, just in my opinion. So maybe 4 fun activities: the sports, the dancing, learning an instrument, or cultivating your voice, and puzzling, and then, fasting as an interesting activity to do. And I think if you are a person who's single, who's watching this now or catching the replay too, one tip that I give a lot of the single people that I talk to is also assess your relationships that you're in now, like as far as your familial relationships, your friends, and look around and see how you are engaging with them, because it'll be helpful in how you show up in the relationship that you have. So that definitely is also helpful too. And that way, and it's lighter, right? Because maybe, well, it depends. Some familiar relationships are can bring about where you can feel emotionally compromised, but your friendships, and even if it's work relationships and things like that, the idea is testing, and assessing your relationship skills within those dynamics, because the emotional, you're not as easily emotionally compromised when it's someone that you're, intimately trying to get to know, or intimately wanting, some kind of outcome or result from. So it's a nice way to kind of navigate it and learn those things. So, yeah, so pretty much I went through all of them. And so let me know if you guys have any thoughts. Again, I'm going to put up the code because I'm going to wrap up for tonight because we've been on here for a while. But I'm going to put the QRC code just in case anyone wants to come up and talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me nice. Um, Wants to come on the show rather than typing it out, let me know. So I'm going to put the QRC code for one more time before we kind of head out. And I end the podcast tonight, all right? All right. So I'll give it a moment and wait and see if anyone wants to join. Outside of everything that we talked about tonight, definitely let me know if you guys have any of your own questions. It doesn't have to be about what I spoke about tonight, but if you have a question about something, I can try to answer it to the best of my ability. If you liked anything that you heard so far, definitely go to my YouTube channel, Forever Friends Academy. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. You know, share your thoughts with me and share the video so that if you, you know, like any of the content, it can be spread to others. Okay, Maya says it wouldn't let you scan it. Really? That's odd. Not sure why. Maya, can you do this for me? I'm not sure why I didn't let you scan it, but if you can come out the live, if you go on my page, there's a QRC code, a post that I made before I came on. Let me know if you have issues scanning that one too, just for future notice. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then I'll try to course correct that. I'm glad you told me. Maybe that's why I haven't had a caller yet. It's because it's not letting you scan it. So I'll have to fix that for you guys because I want to talk to you. So yeah, let me know if you get a chance to do that. If not, it's quite fine. I can do it by myself. But I figured since you're on here and you let me know. So yeah. So let me know if you have any last statements or questions before I end the episode. But I hope that the things we discussed today, the activities were helpful, applicable, and I know people, you don't want it to be so daunting, having to learn about relationship skills, even though it is something that's necessary, right? It's something that will help you have successful relationships, and I do think it's something that we do want to learn about, but we might not want it to be so heavy or daunting. So I just wanted to present things that I think can be light, can be fun, can be interesting. And you learn through them. But I definitely, and if you are a only child, someone who was an only child, definitely these things will help, because sometimes you will find people who didn't necessarily have siblings, right? So there's a lot of relationship dynamics in areas that they don't necessarily get to kind of dive in unless, right, they put themselves into some of the things that we talked about tonight. So if you find yourself that you are, either an only child or maybe somebody who's not an only child, but kind of more introverted and into yourself, try to see if maybe some of the things that we presented tonight, like playing sports, dancing, learning a musical instrument, or cultivating your singing voice, or puzzling, any of those things, right? The three, the dancing, the sports, that requires being a part, of a team. So yes, that would cause you to have to go out. But the puzzling, the learning instruments and things like that, for anyone who's introverted, you can do that, and not necessarily have to be around a lot of people. So definitely try those things out. Hey, it's another one, Sparks. Oh, look at Maya. I'm happy. I'm kind of happy she's going to be my first caller. Okay, let's see. Y'all bear with me, right? Because this is my first time doing this. Okay, let's see. And you guys might not see me see if unless you're on YouTube. I don't think you're gonna be able to see them. Hey guys, can you guys hear me? You guys can hear me, but I can't hear y'all. Oh, I hear you now. How you doing?
But we're doing good.
You doing good? Okay.
Yes, Nikhil wanted to join. He had something to say, but I
Well, I'm glad that you. I'm first of all, I'm glad that you told me because I didn't know that the QRC wasn't working. So the one on the post you were able to get on. Okay, so I have to figure out.
yeah,
Okay, I have to figure out why it's not processing the same when I show it here. So thank you for that because it's
it's
possibly
because
why
I
people
had
aren't.
to on the Instagram though. But it's in the barcode is communicating to the phone.
Okay, okay. Did you guys have any statement or a question in regards to like what we talked about tonight, the four activities?
Can you say that quote again?
We
Of
like the
course,
quote.
I can. I know it's a good quote. It's from Esther Perel. She's amazing. The quote goes like this: "Quality of your life it ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships." The quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships, which I think is a brilliant quote, and it sums it up
Mm,
pretty much right. So hence the focus on tonight's topic of figuring out different activities that we can do that increase and improve the
mm,
quality of our relationships, whether you're married or not married. Those are things that really get, like I said, not just in your mind, because we can have conversations like this and introduce the principles and it gets in your mind. But you guys know me. They're one of my clients, guys. Where I love coaching because you have action afterwards, right? It's not just we're just sitting down and talking, but now, okay, these principles that we've introduced, how are we going to introduce this, and kind of like make a compound effect to where, okay, now we can kind of like demonstrate and model this principle that we're learning. So the four things I introduced tonight, well, five things that I introduced tonight are some things that and you can do in a lighthearted way, and it gets it into like your mind and your body, basically. So, and it's true, it is the quality of your relationships, and we live in a time where people don't focus on that. So, yeah.
You gonna make this a series where you talk about like more in depth each of those four things?
Excuse me. He like, I'm trying to make you work, okay? Um, I didn't think about it. I just kind of, I don't know when you guys came in, but I introduced each one, and then I kind of introduce what areas of relationships it improve, what skills it helps you to kind of learn. So if you mean it in that way, I mean like isolate it even more and get more in depth, like
Yeah, do one of your scenarios with each one, or multiple scenarios with
oh wow, look at
each
him.
of your different four things.
I'm
Okay,
looking
that's
forward.
that could be a possible potential. We'll see.
Yeah, we dance.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. She said, "Cause
Cause
she
she was
dance
talking about like
class."
sports and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys did
What?
that. So you guys did
We
do
dance.
dancing. What do you mind me asking? What dance you chose to do? Like, what kind of dancing did you do? Was it like ballroom or salsa or
I think you
swing
did
dancing,
Yeah.
which
salsa.
I love?
Yeah, we did salsa and we did bachata and we started doing the swing dance, but it was a little too, it was going a little slow, the learning process. So
Okay, okay,
we're gonna get back on it, but it just was, yeah, nobody local. They just wanted us to step, step. Sway,
Okay.
sway.
And did
Like
you
we
guys
got
did
it.
when you did it, did you find like did you find when you did the dancing that when you communicated with each other, or like did you find improvement in just your natural way that you navigated with each other because you did that, or no? No effect.
Yeah, I think so. I think the that we do communicate better without words.
Mm.
I agree. There's more. What's the word? Attentiveness to nonverbal cues.
Mm.
Yeah. And
I
we're
love that. I love that y'all brought that up because that was one thing I didn't bring that up. So you might be right, Nikhil. Maybe I do need to do an in depth series of this. But I didn't think about, because I'm always saying communication is, even though we're heavy on the vocalization, right, of communication, communication is happening all the time. So you're right. It would definitely teach you how to pay attention to the nonverbal cues that you're right that's happening, the messaging that's happening all the time. So I love that. Yeah, that's very true. I think one of the things that I found benefited through doing dancing is just the trust piece. Like it made, like I trust Ben, but it made me trust him even more. If that makes any sense, you
it
know.
does. Yeah. With teaching, you gotta, or with teaching chorus at least, you gotta like give the students like small wins to get
Yes,
to the challenging stuff. And I think that
yes,
that's probably part of like the just like the small wins. We got those
yeah.
4 bars.
Yes, yes. And you came in, you must have came in after because that is exactly that was one of the things that I said you can,
Yeah.
because one, you're not afraid of looking at what you got to work on. That's number one, right? Because as a singer, which I'm sure you know, because she's a music teacher and a singer, where you have to
Mhm.
isolate the areas that you need to improve upon. And you're right. It's like, okay, we got those
You
four
cannot
bars.
hide.
You cannot hide. That's what I said. I was like, as a sing, you just cannot. Like it will show all the way through. Like either you practice or you didn't. Like you're gonna
Yeah,
know as soon as you open your mouth. So I love that you said that because that was one of the things that I said. It definitely afforded in my marriage to Ben to be able to kind of like, okay, what's our goal or what is this challenge that we're facing? And okay, we're going to take it step by step, and celebrate the small wins, and small progresses as they, as we have them. So I appreciate that. I do.
absolutely. Thank you, Charlotte.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. You guys are my first caller. That made me, I feel special because, I love you guys. I love you guys.
You.
While I have you on, you want to do a testimonial so everybody,
Go ahead.
since I got you
Um,
guys on, you guys could do a
Go
testimonial.
you, well,
ahead.
you first.
What you? I know Charlotte because of my now wife. Um,
The fact that it was the finger pointing, it's like,
Because of her.
I'm just going to blame
because
it
of
on
that one
her.
right there.
You don't want to
Yeah,
claim me, Nikhil. How you going to, it
no,
sounds
I
like you
do
don't want to
now,
claim
but
me.
I didn't know you. You were like a voice on Clubhouse. That was it. Somebody that just asked me a question once or something like that.
And he didn't like Clubhouse.
I know.
I'm not a fan of social media stuff, as you probably
I
saw today.
know. I know. All the more reason
So
why I love you
we
for
beat
coming
the
on right now.
odds.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
true.
But yeah, we Maya found you on Clubhouse. Asked me some. I was up there. I think I was on the phone while she was on with you,
You were.
and she asked me a question, or I don't know exactly how it went, but you ended up asking me a question
Mm,
on the phone, and we talked about it. And then we started doing some sessions,
yeah.
and then some years later, we decided to come visit you, which
I
just
know.
absolutely
Pretty
crazy in some
amazing
person.
story. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, God is good. And
Yeah.
then now you're
And that
here,
was a crazy
and we're
trip.
married.
I
So it was a
know. They're married
Can't talk about
now.
that trip without acknowledging that was insanity.
probably probably was
Oh
insanity.
my
Not
gosh.
the going there.
Not
The going
insanity.
there was great. The leaving there
Was
was
You just had a change. You had a change in your life. Yeah, but I'm so grateful for them. It's like when I talk about the people who are like friends that became family, they're literally that. And he's right. We did meet each other online, like literally. But definitely, once I met Maya, we were like locked in. So it's like that those people who are just like meant to be in your life. So I've had nothing but the utmost honor to witness their, and play a part and be a part of their union. And she asked me to be her maid of matron of honor. I was like so
Yes.
touched. So they're just forever. They're forever family for
Mm.
me.
What friends
So
to
I appreciate them. So I'm glad you guys were my first caller. I appreciate you.
And yeah, the
But
only thing I would add is that our like sessions and our conversations really did like speed us through some things.
Yeah,
Like we walk around things that would have like knocked us out
would
if
have.
we didn't have that prior I don't
yeah,
know. That prior like
Discussions.
inspiration, inspired discussions, yeah. So we could, see it on the map, see the little icon and know what it was.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this
More awareness and alertness
agree.
for it. So
Absolutely. So by
Yeah.
Charlotte Sessions, it really is good.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate you guys coming on because I know Benny will be like, Charlotte, you never ever talk about like your clients or the results or outcomes. And, he's right. I need to do
Yeah,
that
we
more.
got
So
the
I was like,
results.
okay, once I
We
got
can
the
do
results, married, okay? I'm married
Mhm.
now. And happily
Yes.
married. You can tell from their cheeses, like it's really genuine. I appreciate it. And
this one
starting a
time.
business together, I loved it. I love seeing you guys online. So definitely check them out. NW Creations. All right, Black owned business. Okay. And more
Yeah.
important, kingdom business because they are
Yes.
of the faith. They're Christians, so definitely check him out on Instagram, NW Creations. All right. So I don't know where else you got to plug. If you want to plug something else, you can, Nikhil, before I get you guys off. But I definitely sent them
Um,
to your Instagram. I don't know where else they can find you.
well, I have an Instagram, I have a YouTube, and I have a TikTok. All of those
Cool.
things are getting off the ground, so I'm putting posting things up there now. So if you're gonna look at it, it might be sparse. Check back again in like a month, and you'll see some good activity.
Good, 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 good. Yep. So you get
Wow.
to
So that was
you get to be a
fantastic.
part of the beginnings, which is always nice
Yes.
to see
Well,
something start from the beginning. So definitely look them up, pour into kingdom businesses. Okay. But I love you guys. Thank you for coming on. I know it's late. Y'all need to go
for
to
sure.
bed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Love you guys. I'll talk to you
Love
soon.
you too. Good night.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
Good
night.
night. Thank you. Oh boy. That was a pleasant surprise. I appreciate it. All right. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't think I have any more questions or anything like that. I will try to work out as to why the QRC code wasn't working for you guys when I put up on the screen. So I will work that out the next time I'm on. So, but absolutely love you guys. Everyone who came in. I'm probably gonna forget the different names that came in. Oh my goodness, Chayton, how are you? And your beautiful wife. It's another one, Sparks. Thank you guys for coming in and being a part of the conversation. But we are going to wrap up tonight. Hey, Emily, I am literally coming off. But if you came in, check the replay, okay, on the YouTube channel, Forever Friends Academy. Thank you. Good night, Nikhil and Maya. Thank you guys for coming on. All right. So love you guys. I will be back on, God willing, Thursday. Okay. So until then, always remember to live to love freely, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.